ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। श्रीचैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। श्रीमतां सुकथा कृष्ण पुण्य श्रवण कीर्तनम हृद्यन्तश्च भद्राणि विधुनोति सुरसताम्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। सर्वशास्त्राब्दी पीयूष सर्ववैदिक सचफल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाध्य सर्वलौकिक दृक्प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवतो प्रभु कलिद्वंतोतिदादित्य श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाथाय प्रेम वर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वद सर्वसेवाय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोस्तुते। मद एक बंधु मद संगेन मद गुरुन् मन महाधन मन निस्तार्क मन भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते। असाधु साधु तादा इन अचिनीचो तत्काकरा हाना मुंचा कदाचिन माम प्रेम न हृत कंथयो स्फुरः। गंधरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। Okay. Hare Krishna everyone. Thank you all for joining. So let's just start off. Anyone remembers where are we in the Bhagavatam? What was the section we discussed last time? And, back in a few seconds. Okay, Hare Krishna. So we are in third canto, 25th chapter, the glories of devotional service. And last week, what we discussed was basically Kardamuni has already left, and then Lord Kapila decided to stay longer, to please his mother. And then Devahuti once they were casually sitting, leisurely sitting with her son, and then she remembered what Brahma had said. And what did Brahma tell Devahuti? Brahma has said that your son will give you that wisdom by which you can cut the knot of ignorance, that cut the knot of attachment in your heart. So Devahuti remembered that. And then she decided to ask Kapila some questions, right? So basically, the first entire section of this chapter is the questions by devotee. But the important point about those questions is how she is expressing her dissatisfaction with the material world. And she basically says that I have been completely frustrated by the agitation of the material senses. You know. And we discussed this point that how this is such a prerequisite for us to actually pursue spiritual life, that we have to be frustrated as long as we have hope of happiness in this material world. Then our one leg is here, and then we are trying to put the other leg, like how they say, if the boat is on the banks, you put one leg on the shore, one leg on the boat, and you're trying to go. You will not proceed, right? So as long as we have hope of enjoyment in this material world, we cannot as such progress in a path of bhakti. And here, devotee is making that point that how she is through her mood expressing her qualification to receive this knowledge, right? And she's saying, I'm completely frustrated with the agitation of the senses. And we discussed like lifetime after lifetime, the senses don't leave us. You know, in different bodies, different species, we are trying to fulfill that agitation of the senses, but that senses are never satisfied, right? And then further, so first is the aspect of, and we said that how normally our prayer can have both these aspects, where we say one aspect is how we are frustrated with the material world. Oh Krishna, I am tired of this material world. And the other aspect is, okay, you're tired, but what are you doing about it? And the other aspect of the prayer is, I'm turning to Krishna and I have full faith. Krishna, you can actually free me. So the second aspect of her words was she actually said that you are my transcendental I, right? You are the eye through which I can get the knowledge, uh, through which I can cross this entire ignorance. And not only that, you are like the sun, right? You have the sun which is arisen to dissipate the darkness of everyone. Not only me, but for all the living beings. You are like the sun who is arisen to give knowledge, right? Therefore, you dispel my ignorance of what? Aham mameti, right? And this aham mamiti is caused by what? This aham mamiti is because of what? Maya, right? Maya. But whose Maya it is?
Identification of self.
I and my.
Yeah.
Okay. But whose Maya it is?
Krishna's.
Krishna's Maya. So hence she is actually saying that only you can dispel my illusion of aham mamiti because it is caused by Maya, but this is your Maya. Right? Just like Devi Eshu Gunoi, Mama Maya Durataya, Krishna is saying, Mama Maya, my Maya. Right? So if this Maya is Krishna's, who can take away the Maya? Only Krishna. Only Krishna. Hence the point that she's saying that only you, Krishna, can take away, or Kapila, you can take away my illusion. And hence I'm turning to you. This Maya, no one can overcome. Not even the greatest demigods. We have stories of how greatest demigods are overcome by this influence of Maya. The only person who can free us from this Maya is Krishna. Right? Krishna or his representatives. Right? Therefore, I'm taking shelter of you, and you're like the axe. Right? Uh, you're like the axe by which you can cut the tree of attachment to this material world. Right? How Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter makes this point. Urdhan Mula Adha Shaka. Like we are in this reflection of this banyan tree, and the banyan tree is like we don't know where it starts, where it ends, where the branches are, where the roots are. We have such a strong attachment to this material world. But even there, what does Krishna say in 15:15? Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama. So that also is saying, use the weapon of detachment and cut this tree of our existence in this material world. So here she's saying, you are that axe by which we can cut the tree of attachment to this material world. Okay. And then she starts off by saying, please explain me what is the difference between Prakriti and Purusha. Right? So this Prakriti and Purusha, one way actually means, like Prabhupada translates, gives them both. One he says is man and woman, right? And also the other explanation of Prakriti and Purusha is Lord and material nature. Right? The material nature is considered Prakriti, the Lord is Purusha. Right? That is one. And other one, Prakriti and Purusha can refer to a man and a woman. So please explain this attachment of the Prakriti and Purusha and man and woman. Right? So when Kapil Dev heard this, and particularly the word was used as uncontaminated, nirvadhyam, right? Nirvadhyam ipsitam. When Kapila Dev heard this uncontaminated desire of devotee, and so, the words are, the section is so nice that we see that Kapila Dev is actually expressing that how his mother has spoken such honest words, uncontaminated. Her desire is not for anything material. She wants the highest. And she is hence taking shelter of me, Supreme Personality of Godhead. And hence her desire is uncontaminated, pure desire to get free from this material world and to actually attain transcendence. Right? And then Kapila Muni smiles, like how Krishna smiled in Bhagavad Gita before giving the wisdom. And why does Kapila Muni smile? Because he's saying, how can my mother be in illusion? It's not possible. But still, I will speak this wisdom for the benefit of all living entities, for our benefit, each one of us, for each one of our benefit. Kapila Muni started to speak. Right? And he basically said this yoga, which is actually concerning the spirit soul, Adhyatma Yoga. I consider this as the best. And why? Because by this Adhyatma Yoga, one can transcend happiness and distress. Right? It causes detachment from happiness and distress. And hence, I consider this yoga as the best. Mm. And then he basically makes the point that the mind is the central point of attachment and suffering in this material world. The mind is the pivot, right? It is all because of the mind. The mind is the cause of our attachment to this material world, and the same mind can be the cause of our liberation in this world. But it's the mind is the pivot, the main aspect, right? And then he's actually making the point that the mind is attached to the material modes, then that is bondage. If the same mind is attached to Krishna, then the mind is a cause of liberation, right? So where is our mind? Our mind is attached to the modes, or our mind is attached to Krishna? Mostly to the modes, maybe sometime. Like how uh, someone said, Prabhupada, sometimes I fall into Maya. Prabhupada said, you're always in Maya, sometimes you fall into Krishna. Right? So mind is mostly in the modes. Sometimes we may get that strong inclination, oh, Krishna, I am yours. I am yours. That feeling may come in our mind. But mostly our mind tends to pull us down, pull us down, pull us down, right? So the mind which is attached to the modes is the cause of bondage, and the mind which is attached to Krishna or the devotees of Krishna is the cause of liberation. Okay. Now, then after making that the mind is central point, then he says, what is the symptoms of a mind which is actually liberated? What are the symptoms of the mind? Right? So, what are the symptoms of a mind which is liberated?
Equanimity. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Matthew.
Sorry, I thought it was a question. Equanimity comes to mind.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Peace, calm.
Okay, peace, calm, equanimity. Right? So here, yeah, go ahead.
Situated in the thoughts of God, having constant, like knowing that that there is a higher power, and that He is the doer and the enjoyer.
Mm-hmm. Good, Matthew. Very nice point. So basically,
attached to the names of Krishna.
oh wow,
Jack.
attached to the names of Krishna. Okay. So here, how does Kapila Dev actually explain the symptoms of a mind which is liberated? He says, when one's mind is free from kama, lobha, adibhihi, right? When the mind is free from lust, greed, etc. That means what? What is etc.? Lust, greed, envy, pride, illusion, right? So all those 6 items. And then, where is these lust, greed, etc. produced from? From the concept of aham, mamati. So aham mamiti, I and mine. So aham mama abhimana. This lust, greed, which is produced from the misconception of I and mine, the mind is freed from all these impurities, right? That is like taking away the negative. And what is the positive? A dukkam, a sukham samam. right? Dukkha and Sukha. We hear this word so many times, right? Adukkam, Asukham, Sama. He sees happiness and distress with an equal vision. That is how Kapila Muni is describing a mind that is liberated, right? Free from the negative and then undisturbed in happiness and distress. That's one point. Second verse, what is the symptom of a liberated mind? He says, when your mind is liberated from all these greed, envy, and so on, and it is on the platform of equanimity, then how will you see yourself? You will see yourself in the mirror, but you will say, this is not me. When the mind is purified, you will see yourself as, let's see, the text 17, he says, Tada, then Purusha Atmana. You will see that who I am this pure spirit soul. That's who I am. You will identify yourself as this pure spirit soul, which is transcendental to material existence, which is non-different from Supreme Personality of Godhead in terms of quality. We are same as Krishna, as Satchidananda, right? But we are in animana. We are infinitesimal. So that's what I said. And then he said, akhanditam. It's not that we are a part which is fragmentally broken from the Lord. Like I give the example, a piece of paper. You break a piece of paper from the whole sheet of paper, then the paper, the part is missing from the whole sheet, right? But our separation from the Lord is not like that fragmental. It is eternally separated from the Lord, not like a material fragmental. And that's how we see ourselves. Right? I gave this, and it's like funny. I keep thinking about this point that, and last week I gave this example, right? Uh, and I had used Vamshi Gopal Prabhu, so I'm going to use Vamshi Gopal Prabhu again. How many, oh, how much space does it actually take to fit 10,000 Vamshi Gopal Prabhus together? Right? Now, if your mind is purified, how will you identify? You will actually identify as spirit soul. 10,000 spirit souls. How much space does it require? The tip of the head. The tip of the head. And I was giving this, actually, we recently heard in Govardhan Retreat where Bhurijan Prabhu is so funny. He said, like, it is, and he was making the point of humility. And he was saying, if you really consider who you are, and he was making a point, 10,000 Bhurijans is the size of the tip of the head. And if you really consider that's who you are, it's so humbling. That's my real position. Right? 10,000, because we know the size of tip of the hair is, you take a tip of hair, divide into 100, take one part of that, divide that into 100, that's the size of us. Right? So when one sees oneself as that spirit soul, then the mind is purified. And when you can identify yourself as a spirit soul, what happens? Naturally, we feel humble. So like, I'm so insignificant. What am I? This 10,000, that's who I am, right? That's who I am. We feel so insignificant and become so humble. And at the same time, from that humility comes the point that we give up that, I am so insignificant. I am not the controller. How can I be the controller? I'm so insignificant. I am not the enjoyer. And when you're so insignificant, then immediately you connect. Oh, I am so insignificant, but I have a connection with someone who is the most significant. And that concession naturally comes when we come to the platform of seeing ourselves as the spirit soul. Right? So that is the two verses where Kapila Muni is saying what are symptoms of a liberated mind? Okay. Now the question is, how can we attain that liberated mind? Right? So now we'll start with text 18. Anyone has any comments, questions up to this point?
I have a question. You said a liberated mind is free from lust, anger, and these qualities. So one time I heard that sometimes the material desires will keep coming, and it's not like I think I heard in a class like a pure devotee. It's not like this things will not come also when you're very advanced, but the pure devotee, this it just ignores it. It just goes like so just can you explain it? Like a liberated mind is free from
So,
those, or do they keep
so
coming?
yes. So Bhagavad Gita 270, what does it say? Apurya manam achala pratishtam. Right? It says, just like how the rivers flow into the ocean, right? Just like that, material desires will always keep flowing. This is the nature of the material world, that we will always be faced with all those material desires. It'll keep coming. But when the mind is pure, those desires will come, but you'll be like, I don't care about that. I have no taste for all those things. Right? But even if the mind has the slightest attachment, you'll see the desire and you'll put hope that yes, I can attain something from this. Right? So this is my self-created example, but I like this example that let's say, the rivers and ocean. You're taking a bath in the ocean and you're saying, oh, it's so nice, nice waves, everything, etc., etc., right? And then someone says, oh, all these different rivers that are coming into the ocean, one of the river has a chest of gold that is going to come. What happens immediately? All you're enjoying the ocean, but what happens? Immediately you're like, okay, which river, which river? Maybe I have to be here, I have to be here, I have to be here, I have to keep an eye on this river. Maybe it will come from here. And that's it. We lose our peace of mind. So all these desires are just like rivers flowing. Constantly are faced with desires. But if the mind is free, you'll be like in the ocean and say, okay, these rivers are coming, but I don't care for them. And hence you go deep into the ocean. And when you go deep into Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the ocean of Bhakti Ras, then even the waves on top do not bother you. And in this side, it actually opens a whole new world, right? Where you can see that's what we recently, in class we recently heard that if you go like snorkeling, right, you go underwater and then a whole new world opens. Right? Similarly, when we go deep, we get free from the desire and then we get access to that inner world of bhakti ras, then a whole new world opens. Then, if you're deep within the ocean, all the rivers are coming. Does it even bother you? No, it's like all superficial. They come, they go, but it's like ocean is never like not emptied, not like evaporation takes place, but you're not disturbed. Rivers are flowing, you're not disturbed. You are deep, relishing that bhakti ras. Mm.
Okay.
But desires will keep. The nature of the world is, just like rivers flowing in the ocean, they will always flow. Sometimes there'll be more, sometimes there'll be less. But where we need to be deep into that bhakti, Samrita Sindhu, that ocean of bhakti, then all those things don't bother. So that is the symptom of a person whose mind is liberated. So, here the focus is, Kapila Muni is not talking of the attachment of the mind to devotion, because further he's going to talk about how that actually comes. And that will actually define the point I said, that the mind has to be uh, connected to the bhakti rasa or have taste for chanting. All those comes next, right? So next section is basically how we can attain that liberated mind. Okay?
Prabhu, I just was remembering in one of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu classes that Mataji was explaining, how on the surface of the ocean, there is a lot of turbulence, like a lot of disturbance. You cannot, the people who are high divers or the great ocean animals, they go very deep. And when they go deep, they get pearls. So,
Well,
Rasamrita is like that. So, you cannot stay on the surface for very long. Your job is to go down, 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 because on the surface, on the base of the ocean, it's very calm. There is no problem, and it is effulgent with the pearls everywhere, so it's not dark. So the pearls are all Rupa Goswami's Padyavali.
amazing. That's such a nice point. That pearls is a really nice point. I like it. Because as we progress deeper in the path of bhakti, we get at least a glance of the effulgence of that pearl. You know, And when we see that, we're like, wow, this is so good. Even a glance of the effulgence of the pearl, you feel like, wow, this is amazing. I want to go deeper and deeper. Right?
It's the
And
same
that,
thing as you said, no, that people, if you the ocean, you see the river coming, you get agitated. Whereas the same thing happens with the devotees. They go deeper and they see a little effulgence. Oh, what's that? And they rush towards that, and it's a big pearl. There's another pearl, blue pearl, yellow pearl, green pearl.
amazing. It's like, these points are so like one way, like hope giving and also encouraging that yes, when we go deeper, see what is waiting for us. Yeah. So nice. Thank you. Okay, 18. Text 18. Go ahead. So now is a process how the mind can reach this stage.
ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तेन भक्तियुक्तेन चात्मना परिपश्यत्युदासीनं प्रकृतिं च हतोजसम्.
In that position of self realization, by practice of knowledge and renunciation in devotional service, one sees everything in the right perspective. He becomes indifferent to material existence, and the material influence acts less powerfully upon him. Hare Krishna.
So basically now what is the process here said? Jnana Vairagya Yuktena Bhakti. Bhakti devotional service which was equipped with knowledge and renunciation. Right? And by that process, so this one line is the key. When you have devotional service which is equipped with knowledge and renunciation, and is this knowledge and renunciation two separate things to bhakti? No, we know Vasudeva Bhagavati, Bhakti Yoga, Prayojita, Janati Asuvaragyam, Jnanam Chalit Ayitukam. When we engage in devotional service, these two items automatically come. But this is one way the complete aspect of bhakti includes Gyan and Vairagya. So that devotional service, which includes this aspect of, equipped with this aspect of knowledge and renunciation, then when one engages in that, then Atmana Paripashyati. He sees everything in the right perspective. And then Udasinam Prakritam. Right? So because she asked about Prakriti, so here is saying Udasinam Prakriti. Udas means like how in Hindi we say Udas means sad. Right? So Udasinam Prakriti means one becomes indifferent to the entire material existence. And then Hat Ojasam. And Hat Ojasam means the material existence reduces in strength. Right? So again, going back to the point that we are faced with these material desires, but we become indifferent to that, and the strength of the pullings keeps reducing, right? Keeps reducing. And the material influence acts less powerfully upon him. Okay. So Prabhupada in the purport, he makes the point. He says, um, he gives the example that when our immunity system is weak, right? And we go and we are faced with any kind of germs, immediately we'll catch the disease, right? When our immunity is weak, that's what happens. Similarly, if our devotion is actually weak, then they will be very easily influenced by the contamination of the germs of the material nature. That means what? By all those material pullings, the material desire, easily, right? So that's why when we are in the initial stages of bhakti, then we have this struggle. We are pulled by Maya and then we become victim to Maya. Why? Because our bhakti is not strong, right? So he makes that point, right? So Prabhupada says the contamination of this illusionary energy can act on weaker conditioned soul. So if you're still conditioned, you're still on the border, then we'll be faced with all those pullings, and then maybe we don't have the strength to overcome that. And Prabhupada makes the point, unless one is liberated from the material contamination, one cannot engage himself in devotional service of the Lord. Now we see this Prabhupada often making this point that unless we are free, we cannot engage in devotion service. Are we free now? Then are we doing bhakti or no? It's the purpose. Unless one is liberated from material contamination, one cannot engage himself in bhakti. So we are saying, making the point that we still have material contamination. Then are we doing bhakti?
We are in sadhana bhakti.
We are doing sadhana bhakti, right? So that's the main point, that we are actually not at the stage of doing pure devotional service. That's the whole process. But we are in the beginning. We are doing sadhana. Sadhana means we are practicing. And how Prabhupada Nectar of Devotion gives the example of what? A baby, when as soon as it starts growing, it has the natural tendency to walk. But initially, what happens? The baby will stand holding some table or something and it will fall. Then it will take one step, it will fall. Right? But the tendency is there. Similarly, we are like that. We are catching hold of some mercy, some association, and then when Maya pulls us, sometimes we fall. Right? Then again we stand up, again we fall. So we are not actually walking, because we are actually practicing, coming to the stage where we can engage in devotional service. Okay. And Prabhupada in the purport also quotes Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kankshati. At that spiritual level, then no sochati na kankshati, that the pulling of the hankering and lamentation of this material world, na sochati na kankshati. We don't have any, as this verse is saying, we don't have any, we become indifferent to all those pullings and hankerings, right? Hankering and lamentation. Next verse, text 19.
Text 19. Na yujyamanaya bhaktya bhagavatya kiratmani sadrisho sti shiva pantha yoginam brahma siddhaye.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Perfection in self-realization cannot be attained by any kind of yogi unless he engages in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For that is the only auspicious path. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So now basically he's making the point that this point, what I have said, bhakti, which is actually equipped with jnana and knowledge, this he says is the only auspicious path. There is no other auspicious path. This is the only auspicious path. And why is that? And here it says, na yujyamanaya bhaktya, right? Brahma siddha for perfection in self-realization only when one engages in devotional service, right? So that bhaktya, bhagavati, akhilatmani, to the super soul, right? And then he says Shiva, Shivaha Pantha, right? Shivaha Pantha, which is that verse? Kind of coming to my mind. Anyone knows that verse? One of those nectar verses. Nahi, there is no other auspicious path than devotional service. It's there, yeah, will come to my mind. And so here he is making the same point, that there's no other auspicious path than this. And he said, Brahma Siddhaye. Now, Brahma Siddhaye, for perfection in self-realization, one may say, is Brahma Siddhaye Brahman realization? Is that perfection? No. So Prabhupada is actually elaborating on the point. First he says, what about Gyan and Vairagya? Gyan and Vairagya are never perfect unless they are joined with Bhakti. Gyan and Vairagya only can assist Bhakti in liberation. Gyan and Vairagya on their own cannot give that highest perfection. We have to come to a stage of Bhakti. Right? That's the first point. Then second, Brahma Siddha, we have to understand that Aham Brahmasmi, that I am spirit soul, right? And we have to understand that I am Brahman, I am different from matter, right? And then further Prabhupada makes a point. He quotes, first of all, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita, right? 1 to 7. The Janati Asuvairagyam Jnanam Chadyat Ahetukam. So Prabhupada's theme here is he's proving that perfection of Brahma Siddha is not Brahman realization. It is actually finally Bhagwan realization. And first point he says, Vasudeva Bhagavati, that by devotional service, knowledge and renunciation are byproducts of it. Bhakti is the highest. Second point he says, Brahman realization, and he makes a point, Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan, right? So the Bhagwan realization is the complete realization. And then he makes the point that this mood of bhakti is so powerful, that just that mood of with that service attitude, everything will be revealed. With that service attitude, everything will be revealed. So then Prabhupada also makes the point, bhakti, devotional service means what? Bhakti, bhakta, and Bhagavan. All three aspects have to be there. Devotional, the devotee, devotional service, and the Lord. All three are there, right? And unless there's a realization of the transcendental form, that Bhagavan feature, we have not attained perfection. And then Prabhupada also quotes this verse. Okay. Here he's saying, beyond that Brahmajyoti, there's a supreme personality of God. In the Upanishads, a devotee prays to the Lord to kindly put aside the effulgence. Anyone knows this verse? Bhakti Shastri?
Hiranmayana Patrena.
Yes, Ishopanishad text 15. Hiranmayana Patrena Satyasya Pihitam Mukham Tattvam Pashyan Apavritam Satyam Dharmaya Drishtaya. That basically the devotee is praying, oh my Lord, your real face is covered by this dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. Right? So this prayer already indicates that Brahman realization is not perfection. Beyond that, we want to connect with the personality Bhagavan. And even our Chaitanya Charitamrita 113, right? One of those 14 verses. What does it say? Yad Advaitam Brahmanopashida Advaitam Brahmo Sadi Tad Apya Asya Tanubha Ya Atmanar Yam Purusha Iti So Shamsya Vibhaha. They say what the Upanishads describe as impersonal Brahman is just the effulgence of the Lord. And the Lord, who is known as the Super Soul, is but just the localized plenary portion of the Lord. Right? But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is Bhagwan himself, full with six opulences. He is the absolute truth, and there is no truth greater than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? So again, this verse is making the point. Brahman is just the effulgence of the Lord. Paramatma is localized, but who is the highest realization? Bhagwan. Right? So those are points Prabhupada makes in purport. Go ahead. Yeah, that's the verse. Thank you. 2233. Nahi atonya Shiva Panta. There is no other auspicious point. Vishata Samsprita eva Vasudeva Bhagati Bhakti Yoga Yato Bhavet. Very nice. Thank you. Okay. So let's go to text number 20.
Prabhu,
Yeah.
on 19, Prabhupada is writing, Na Yunjamanaya means without being doubted. But you know how we are taught a great deal of how to use, Yukta Vairagya, dovetailing everything in service of Krishna. But Na Yunjamanaya Bhakti Bhagavati Akhilatmani. I'm unable to understand Prabhupada is always putting forward the dovetailing theory, but here it is without being doubted.
Yeah. My understanding with this, like, why is Prabhupada making the point? He says knowledge and renunciation are never perfect unless joined by devotional service. Uh, unless joined by devotional service, explicitly explained here. Everyone knows what is dovetail? What is dovetail? I'm looking if I can find something which is dovetail.
You have a dove at your house?
What?
You have a dove at your house?
No, see, actually, dovetail, it comes in the word carpentry. In carpentry, they call dovetail. And what is dovetail? You may have seen some wood pieces are connected like this, right? Where this wood piece is cut like, with like teeth coming out. And the other wood piece fits right into it. That is dovetailing, right? It is perfect fit, right? So dovetail. So here, my understanding is when Prabhupada says na yujyamana, without being dovetailed, that he's talking of our tendencies towards jnana and vairagya. Bhakti has to be free from the tendencies to do activities which are just based on jnana and vairagya, which are not favorable to bhakti. So there are aspects of Gyan and Vairagya which are favorable to Bhakti. So even now, we'll see Kapila Muni, he's going to explain of Gyan, right? He's going to explain of yoga, that means mystic yoga, and then he's going to talk of Bhakti. But why is he explaining all the three? Certainly to point out how Bhakti is the highest, but also he's making the point how certain aspects of Gyan and Vairagya are favorable to Bhakti and they can be actually used for as an aspect of devotion service. But the point is, there may be some aspects of Vairagya which are actually not favorable to Bhakti, isn't it? Like, if your renunciation is just dry renunciation, how Rupa Goswami defines, and he says, Prapanchikta Bhakta Hari Sambandhi Vastuna Mumushri Pratyaga Falgu Vairagya Uchate. That is any object that can be used in service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but you're renouncing that object, then that is falgu Vedanta. That is false renunciation. So here, because Prabhupada's first sentence is knowledge and renunciation are never perfect, therefore he's saying, na yujamana. Not that our efforts, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's point also in these verses, is that it is not Gyan and Vairagya which will actually give liberation. So the activities one does in bhakti, which are in jnana and vairagya, are not favorable to devotion. Those dovetailing will not give perfection. So that bhakti which is pure, like how we say, jnana karmadi anavritam, which is not covered, not dovetailed by all these things, that is pure devotion. So, okay, so that's my understanding here. Because that's the whole theme. Like if you see how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that these two verses he's pointing out that how Gyan and Vairagya by themselves they cannot give liberation. They are only assistance to devotion, and devotion is the main. Okay. Okay, text 20.
Prasangam ajaram pasham atmana kavayo viduhu sa eva sadshu krito mokshadvaram apavritam.
Krishna. Every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul. But that same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotees, opens the doors of liberation. Hare Krishna.
Right. So we read a similar verse in text 15. When the mind is attached to the modes, it causes bondage. When the mind is attached to the Lord, it causes liberation. That is 15, right? Now the same verse is elaborated here in text 20 that every learned man knows. And prasangam, right? Prasangam. So this prasanga will come again after 5 verses, right? In the famous verse Satam Prasanga. So sanga means association. Prasanga is like a special kind of association, almost to a level of attachment. So being attached, right? And then ajaram, very strong. So if you have a strong attachment to the material world, then pasham. Pasham is just like a bound with a rope. You're entangled in this material world. Is the greatest entanglement for the jiva, but that same attachment. If it is sadhu sukritu, if it is applied, krita is applied to sadhu, to devotees, then moksha dwaram, it opens the door of liberation. Right? That one more verse in the fifth canto, Prabhupada often likes to quote, Mahat sevam dwaram ahur mimukte, tvamo dwaram yoshitam sangi sangha. Same point. Mahat sevam, seva to Mahat, devotees. Then what happens? Dwaram ahur mimukte. The dwar open. What dwar? For liberation. Tamo dwaram. But there's another door. The door of ignorance or tamaha. And that will open when? Yoshitam Sangi Sangha. When we associate with those who are always interested in enjoying with the opposite sex. Right? So again, similar verse in the fifth canto. Okay. So now let's see. Prabhupada makes a point in purport. He says, main is attachment cannot be killed. Right? Our mind is always looking for attachment. If you are not attached to positive Krishna conscious activities, if you are not attached to devotees, naturally will be attached to materialistic things. There is no like in between state. Attachment cannot be killed. So either it is material consciousness or Krishna consciousness, right? And the point that means we are conscious. Jiva means what? Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. Nityo means eternal. We are eternal. But Chetana. Chetana means conscious. We are conscious. And that consciousness means there is going to be attachment. Right? It's going to be attachment. The only choice that we have is that attachment. Are we focusing to this material world, or that attachment we are focusing to devotees of Krishna? Right? And the result is completely opposite. So consciousness itself means it's a platform of attachment. So desirelessness, no attachment is not possible, right? So, so isn't this very practical? Like in our sadhaka life, can we see what is our attachment? Just to be honest, personally, in my sadhana also, I see that when somehow my Krishna consciousness is weak, then naturally my mind looks for attachment in material things. I say, okay, let me see what's in news, spend some time reading the news, or do this, or buy something new, because the attachment is there. But if the Krishna consciousness is weak, naturally you can see where your tendencies of attachment are right now. But if your Krishna consciousness is strong, then your attachment will be like, okay, let me see Bhagavatam, okay, read Bhagavatam, okay, do my sadhana. It'll be like pakka, associate with devotees, let me do seva. That's where our attachment. So consciousness is almost like we can consider it's like a river flowing, right? Consciousness flows. But where are we flowing it to? That's what makes the difference. And flowing to material world, or we are flowing to Krishna conscious and devotees of the Lord, right? So Prabhupada in the purport also stresses on this point of sadhu sukritu. And who is a sadhu? Who is a sadhu?
One who sees everybody with equal vision.
Okay, beyond that, who is a sadhu? I mean, now, okay, that's a point, but that can also be a jnani. Who is a sadhu here? Since we are talking this entire section, importance of bhakti, who is a sadhu?
Attached to
Just to
Krishna.
Attached to Krishna, okay. The attachment is to Krishna. Right?
free from material, like self-realized, and has that personal connection to Krishna.
Yes. So the positive Prabhupada defines sadhu means who unflinchingly engages in devotional service. He has unflinching faith that by what's that verse? Um, Sudhridaya Nishay Krishna Bhakti Kaila Sarva Karma Kritana. Right? So that Vishwas, that faith, that just by engaging in Krishna consciousness, just by doing bhakti, everything is perfect. I don't need to engage in so many other subsidiary activities. Just by bhakti, one can attain perfection. And to the sadhu, so one way, even Rupa Goswami says, what is the symptom of a person who is advanced? It is related how much faith he has in Krishna, right? Shraddha. Shraddha as uses as a parameter to determine the advancement of a sadhu. So more Shraddha, more advanced. And the more advanced devotee, the more we are associating with the advanced, the person who has more Shraddha, then the more our attachment, more we are associating with that or have an attachment to that person, the more that opens our path for liberation.
Prabhuji, I have a question regarding entanglement and liberation.
Okay, just one point I'll make.
Sure.
Purport. So Prabhupada towards the end of the purport, he says attachment to sadhu is actually means what? Attachment to the service of the Lord. Right? So he's saying attachment to devotees means attachment to devotional service, where you want to do something for Krishna, right? So when we do service, then that is a symptom of our attachment to devotees. Okay, and then it's the duty of the sadhu. When we are attached to the sadhu, what will the sadhu give us? He'll give us gifts. What gifts? Christmas gifts. No, not Christmas gifts. What gifts will He give us? He will give us the gift of, He will teach us how to become a devotee, how to worship Krishna, how to become a sincere servitor of the Lord. And those instructions of the sadhu is actually the gifts of the sadhu. And by that gift, we can actually cut the knot of material contamination and elevate ourselves in bhakti. So the gift of a sadhu, because we are saying we are attached to a sadhu, as soon as we are attached to a sadhu, sadhu will say, here, take, and he'll give us instructions. And those instructions will actually help us progress, will tell us, okay, this is how you become a devotee. This is what we need to do. This is our next step in bhakti, and so on. Okay. And then Prabhupada also makes the point, sadhu is not someone who comes and tells us instructions on how to improve our material condition. Right? Most of us, I mean, I shouldn't say this. Most of the people, they, even if they come to spiritual circle, their main motivation is how to improve my material condition. But the real guru is not one who talks about that. If you see, like, this was a realization I had. Like, if you hear Prabhupada's classes, any section of Prabhupada you hear, he's doing only two things. One, he's breaking our attachment to the material world. And second, he is actually talking about Krishna, attaching ourselves. There are only two things. Any section of Prabhupada you take, that's it. That's what he talks about. They talk about how this material nature is so temporary, how these things are, all the attachment is false and all those. And on the positive side, he'll talk about Krishna. That's it. These two things in Prabhupada's all the classes. So this is the gift of Srila Prabhupada. He's breaking our attachment to the material world and he's attaching ourselves to devotees, to devotional service and Bhagavan. Okay. What is the question, Madhu?
Hare Krishna. So in the translation, it says attachment to the material is the greatest entanglement, but the same attachment
Hmm.
for a self-realized devotee opens the door of liberation. So when we say same attachment, I'm not able to understand. Like if I think my material attachment, let's say, is to my family, right? How can that same attachment for a self-realized person, that same attachment to family, open doors of liberation?
Hmm.
Or maybe I'm not understanding it.
No, the aspect is that of attachment. And that's why Prabhupada is making the point. The spirit soul has the quality of attachment. It is the symptom of the conscious jiva to have attachment. Right now, our attachment is more to our family. That same attachment, which is to family, has to be changed to Krishna. You put Krishna in the center, but by putting Krishna in the center, it's not that the attachment to the family
Reduces.
the attachment to the family will actually be with Krishna in the center now. Our main attachment becomes Krishna. And then everyone else who we are connected with, our attachment is through that attachment of Krishna. Krishna becomes the center point of our life. So it is the same attachment. It's just like, let's say a torch, right? You have a light. The light is directed somewhere away. Now you're saying that same light, bring it and direct it here because I want to see who's on this side. It's the same light, right? The torch is symptom is light. You're just saying direct it here. So that same attachment you have to direct it to the devotees of Krishna.
Okay, thank you. Understood. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
So next section, 21 to 23, is what is the characteristics of a sadhu? How would you understand who is a sadhu? Now we have made the point that if you transfer your attachment to a sadhu, that will actually give our mind the state of liberation, where we can see ourselves, 10,000 of us as a tip of a head, right? That kind of liberation can be attained by sadhu, but we need to know who is a sadhu. So next verses talk of the symptoms of the sadhu. First, we talk of secondary symptoms, characteristics, then we'll go on to the primary characteristics.
This is your favorite verse, Prabhu.
Tidiksha Karunika?
You have quoted several times. Yeah.
This is a very nice verse. Okay, let's read. Very famous verse like this. Suddenly, verse Prabhupada often quotes and verse to memorize for sure.
Tikshava Karunika Sureda Sarvadehinam Ajata Shatrava Shantaha Sadhava Sadhu Bhushanaha. The symptoms of a sadhu are that he is tolerant, merciful, and friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies. He is peaceful. He abides by the scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime.
Okay. So, 7 qualities of a sadhu are given in this verse. Okay. What is the first quality? And this is all secondary, and primary will be next verse. So, first is titikshava. Titikshava means tolerant. Okay. I'll list everything, then we'll discuss from Prabhupada's purport. So, first, tolerant. Second, karunika. Karunika means karuna. Karuna means compassion. He is merciful, right? Merciful. Then, third, surida. Surida means Suvarda Sarvadehina. He is friendly to all living entities, not only to humans, including animals. Right? Surida. He don't want to hurt everyone. He wants the well wish. Your ever well wisher. He's the ever well wisher for everyone. That's third. Fourth, Ajata Shatravaha. When you talk Ajata Shatru, who comes to our mind? Who was the personality who was known as Ajata Shatra? Yudhishthira.
Dhritarashtra.
Right? Ajata Shatra means no enemies. Number four. 5, Shantaha. He's peaceful. He's not agitated by the waves of the material ocean. 6, Sadhava. Sadhava means he abides by the Shastra. He's always following the Shastras strictly. And seventh one, Sadhu Bhushana. Sadhu Bhushana, one point that Prabhupada explains is all the characteristics of the sadhu is sublime. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he gives another quality with Sadhu Bhushana. He says he has respect to the sadhu. Definition of a sadhu, he has respect to the sadhu. Or he says he thinks of the sadhus as Bhushana. What is Bhushana? Bhushana Bhushanangam. Right? Ornament. Right? That's a famous verse, right? Bhushana Bhushanangam. That verse is basically saying when Krishna wears ornaments,
Ornaments.
ornaments are beautified by Krishna. It's not that Krishna is beautified by the ornaments. So Bhushana Bhushananga, because he's all attractive. So Bhushana means ornaments. And Sadhu Bhushana means when he sees sadhu, he says, these sadhus are ornaments. These are special. That is the mood of a sadhu. Right? So the 7 can have 2 meanings. Right? So these are 7 qualities. Now Prabhupada starts off and he says, Karunika, merciful, means what? Means we go door to door. Professor, that's what he's saying. We have to go door to door, knock on the door, and tell them books on yoga, meditation, teaches you how to be free from stress. Give them books. That is our thing. The Prabhupada is clearly saying. A sadhu is a person who is actually enlightening people in devotional service. And he's making the point that without devotional service, your life is simply spoiled. So he goes door to door preaching, be Krishna conscious, become a devotee of Krishna. That is a sadhu. Right? So that's one point. Then, and then further Prabhupada says Karunika. Karunika means that he's not satisfied only with his own liberation. Right? Normally our focus is like, I just want to go back to Godhead. But the sadhu is like, he's compassionate. He's always thinking of others. Right? He's the most compassionate personality towards fallen souls. And he's thinking like, actually all these people are suffering. Without bhakti, their life is shunya. Let me somehow other give them Krishna Prasadam, give them Bhagavad Gita, give them Krishna, somehow and invite them to the temple. Somehow other, I want to help them. That is the mood of sadhu. But when we do that, is it easy? When we go out and give Krishna consciousness, is it easy? People will come and say, why you're wasting time? Go get a job. Don't disturb me. I have my Christmas party coming up. Don't disturb me. Right? And a preacher, a sadhu, will actually face all these obstacles. But when he faces the obstacles, what is his mood? Titiksha. He's tolerant. He's tolerant. And Prabhupada gives the example of who can we think? Examples of devotees who were tolerant in spite of all those atrocities that they had to face?
Haridas Thakur.
Haridas Thakur. 22 marketplaces he was beaten on his back. But still he was tolerant, right? He was tolerant. He didn't actually consider all this, right? And actually he was merciful to those personalities who were beating him. And he said, like, if they was thinking like, if we don't beat you to death, then we'll be punished. He said, okay, I'll go in the river and I'll disappear and you can say I'm dead. So he was compassionate even to those who were beating him. And he was tolerant, right? And then other example Prabhupada gives is Jesus Christ. And then he said, like, Jesus Christ was crucified, but yet he was wishing well for those people who were crucifying him. And third example Prabhupada gives is Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu also went door to door begging everyone, take up Krishna consciousness. And then when Madhai hit him with a pot and started bleeding, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and said, Chakra, Chakra, then Nityananda Prabhu stopped him. No, no, no. Jagai actually, he stopped Madhai. Have compassion on them. In this incarnation, you did not come to take up weapons. Please give mercy to them. That is the mood of a devotee, right? So that is the titikshava. Then next Prabhupada talks of well-wisher to all living entities. And he says not only human beings, but also animals. And he gives this example of Shivananda Sen. Yeah. So Shivananda Sen, a nice story, that how every year devotees from different parts of Bengal and the surrounding area, they used to come to Puri to meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Shivananda Sen used to be the person who used to arrange all their travels, right? So all the whole group, Shivananda Sen would actually arrange, okay, we are going to go here, prasadam will be here, accommodation will be here, and then some places you have to pay the tax. And he used to take care of all that, right? So it was Shivananda Sen. So once a dog started joined that group of devotees who was coming to Puri, right? And then once they had to cross the river with a boat, and the boatman said, I'm not going to take your dog. And dogs are muchi. I don't want your dog on my boat. Shivananda said, I will pay you double. I'll pay you many times the fare. Let this dog come. Because he's walking with us, he's a part of the group. I have to take care of him. And he paid extra to the boatman just so that the dog can come on the boat. And then one place, Shivananda Sen had to pay the taxes. That time you cross from one place to another, you have to pay tax. So he was left behind in paying taxes. And the other group, he said, you go ahead, I will take care of this. So he was behind. And then finally, when he caught up with the group, he could not see the dog. So he asked everyone, where is that dog? He's a part of our group. Where is he? And he actually sent men to search out for that dog. And so many men, they were searching everywhere. They couldn't find the dog. And then when they said, no, no, we cannot see the dog, then Shivananda saying, I am going to fast today because the dog is not part of the group and will not take care of it. And he fasted that day. Imagine his compassion to a dog. Right? And then later on, finally, when they came to Puri and the dog was not to be found, and Shivananda Sen was in anxiety, he was like very unhappy. He had fasted before. And when he finally came to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then what did they see? They saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking the coconut pulp and he was personally feeding that dog. And Shivananda Sen, when he saw that, he came and he did Danvat Pranam to that dog. To that dog, he offered his obeisances to that dog. Right? And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was feeding him the pulp and he's saying to the dog, chant the names Ram, Krishna, Hari, chant. And then that dog, so it says Shivananda out of his natural immediately offered obeisances to the dog. And later on, the next day, no one saw that dog. For immediately that dog went back home, back to Godhead. Immediately he went back home, back to Godhead. Imagine a dog. I mean, during that time, now dogs are just considered like, it's okay. Like, normally dogs are considered like a lower animal, like muchi. And at that time, Shivananda saying, taking that dog with him, because he joined our party, my responsibility, I'll take care. And because Shivananda Sen had that mercy to the dog, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him back home, back to God. This is the nature of a devotee. Right? Surida Sarvadehina, all living entities. He is merciful. He wants to get everyone Krishna consciousness. He wants to let everyone go back to home, back to God. Right? So those are points that Prabhupada makes in the point. So you see the whole theme of Prabhupada's purport is the mood of compassion, the mood of preaching Krishna consciousness, giving Krishna to others. And these are the qualities of a sadhu. And also Prabhupada says a sadhu is calm. He quietly and peacefully follows the principles of the Shastra. And he says if someone follows the Shastra, that means he's a devotee of Krishna. One cannot say, I am following the Shastra and not be a devotee of the Lord. Right? So that means you're a devotee. Next 22.
Prabhu, I
Yeah.
have two questions, Prabhu. First question is, following Shastra, there are a big variety of Shastras that we have, including, various Puranas, glorifying the demigods and all the way. So, like, every Shastra, followers of every Shastra should be considered, or what exactly is this
So
pointing towards?
proper sentence here, one who actually follows the principles of scripture must be a devotee of God because all the Shastras instruct us to obey the orders of the personality of God. So, like any Shastra would actually make us a devotee. I mean, like if you're studying, okay, Shastras are very vast, and then there's Karma Kanda, there is Jnana Kanda, Upasana Kanda, all those things. But finally, if you come to the essence of everything, it comes to a point of bhakti. It comes to a point of bhakti. It comes to a point of being selfless, even to actually give up that selfish I and my mentality and come to our pure state. So the essence of all the Shastras brings us to the point of devotion to the Lord. And where's that verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita? It says all the Shastras are meant to give only three things. Sambandha Gyan, Abhideya Gyan, Prayojana Gyan. That's it. So even the lower Shastras are finally bringing us to a point to understand who we are. Even the Karma Kanda section is finally to bring us to a point, oh, demigods are superior, but finally Vishnu is superior to them and will establish our Sambandha. And then once our Sambandha is established, then the Prayojana, and then, Abhideya, and then Prayojana, right? So even the lower Shastras, one way, indirectly it is bringing us to our platform of Sambandha, to become a devotee of the Lord.
So the point is like the totality of the Shastra, not just you pick and choose,
Yeah.
just reading one Purana and I am established in my religious life. That's not the point. Like you have to read the Vedas, Vedanta Sutras, Bhagavatam, everything. Then
And
when
that's
you
And that's not even the point of these Shastra. Why did Krishna actually give this Karma Kanda section, this section, this section? Because he said, wherever you are, whatever mode you're in lower mode, still you can actually take up bhakti. But step by step. Maybe you are in this Purana, but from this Purana, you become a devotee of Shiva, become a selfless devotee of Shiva, then Shiva will say, okay, you're coming to me not for material thing, but for selfless, with a selfless mood, I will connect you to Krishna. Yeah.
and also for the second question is like we always get to hear the Shivananda Sen story. So I was thinking like how Jarabharat he also got attached to a deer.
Bharat Maharaj.
His Varagya at his like greater stages of like, but then here Shivananda Singh, which is of course he's a Nitya Siddha, he's Mahaprabhu's personal associate, empowered. So it cannot happen to him. But we tend to take that Shivananda Sen's story and mix and match with my quote unquote sense enjoyment and think that it is possible to come to the platform of being very compassionate towards pets and having them home and stuff like that. I'll give them a chance to be devotees. How long do you think that is Right.
See, see, like Prabhupada, like we hear this point in lecture, he says like, you know, because the attachment is very natural, and sometimes we don't express the attachment to our relatives, we actually keep pets to actually express that attachment. So for most of us, when we are keeping pets, it depends. Like some devotees may have a different understanding, but normally, like, if you have a pet at home, your attachment would be more to the pet, like, because it's like, oh, so sweet. And, we tend to be attached to those, and that takes away our attachment to Krishna. You know. But if someone is advanced and he has that attachment to Krishna, then they may choose to have that, but then you have to be careful that make sure that our attachment is not like in Bharat Maharaj case, not just for that. Attachment is to Krishna. But that attachment to Krishna, we are spreading through other living entities. So, you have to be very careful to see, and we can actually see where our attachment is. You know. But in general, we can think that, if you have pets, then our attachment goes to pet. Then we are always thinking, oh, my pet is hungry, my pet is this, my pet is this. Then is the attachment to Krishna or pet? Actually, it's attachment to a pet that's taking us away from Krishna. So, and maybe devotees may have a slightly different understanding of why they keep pets, but that's how I see this.
Which I was thinking that Shivananda Sim didn't bring the dog home. He was just concerned that the dog also goes on the parikrama and gets the prasadam and the association, right? He was not bringing the dog home and taking care of him like Jad Bharat was doing. That's why he got so attached. Right?
That Bharat also, the point is like he did not have any other devotees around.
But also this point of Mataji that don't bring home is not that important because you can develop attachment on the roads, on the way walking on the roads also. And the moment, say, suppose something happens and you die thinking of the dog, that does not really need to be at home, taking care of a pet, but rather any simple, like, we can have some wild animals visiting, sometimes in our yard. So, every day the same deer comes on.
Yeah.
It should
So
not be at
everything,
the cost of our own sadhana, as we neglect our process and we just concerned about what the dog is doing. Is he safe? Is it that? Yeah, not that.
so basically, like, yes, we have as grahasthas, our duty is to one way take care of other, right? So if a pet, a raccoon comes to your backyard, you can give some leftover prasadam. They'll get benefit, right? So we can do that, and then that chapter is over. So we are not creating that attachment that will take us away from Krishna. So we have
And
to be
also Jadavana thinking that if I won't take care of this deer, deer will die. That should not be the mood. Krishna will take care of him.
That's a good point. Yeah. So we are expressing. See, finally, our attachment has to be to Krishna. And that's the point that we are reading, right? And then we are spreading the attachment, like trying to connect every living entity to Krishna. If that mentality is there, then we are actually one of them. But we have to be careful. We have to be careful because it's very easy to shift our attachment because our attachment to Krishna is not very strong. So it's easy to get deviate and say attachment to the attachment to that. And as practically in a sadhana also you can see if your attachment to Krishna is strong, then everything else you can see. That you will see everything in the right perspective. Like even this previous verse said, you see everything in the right. Okay, this dog is there. Okay, give him prasadam. Done. Or do this. Done.
Though also the bhakti aspect is also there, right? Like Shivananda Sen was in the bhakti form, bhakti, highest degree of bhakti, but here he was Vairagi, Jadabharat. So not really, that we're reading the glories of bhakti, right? Devotional service. So Jadabharat was in
Not just Bharat Maharaj.
Bharat Maharaj, sorry. Bharat Maharaj was in the stage of
But
detachment,
no,
right?
but actually Bhakti, he came all the way to Bhav.
Bhava, yes, Bhava
But
plan.
devotion, yes, even he was devotee, right?
Krishna
Because he was,
conscious,
hmm?
he was Krishna conscious
Yeah, yeah,
person.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, even during his ruling, it is described how Bharat Maharaj was actually a devotee. So certainly here also devotee, for sure. But that story is showing that even someone can stay at the stage of bhav, still there is a chance you may get deviated. Normally at bhav we don't, because anartha nivritti is almost done at that point. So, but Bharat Maharaj is, a story just to show us that how we have to always keep that association of devotees, always focus on attachment to Krishna, never neglect our sadhana, at the expense of anything else. All those lessons. Let's see primary characteristics of a sadhu. So secondary we saw 7, right? Now let's see primary characteristics. There are 22.
Mayananyena bhavena bhaktim kurvanti ye dridham matkrite tyakta karmanas tyaktva svajana bandhavaha. Radhe Mataji.
Mataji, did you already read?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. Sorry. 325:22. Such a sadhu engaged in staunch devotional service to the Lord without deviation. For the sake of the Lord, he renounces all other connections, such as a family relationship and friendly acquaintances within the world. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So basically here primary characteristic is what? Mayi ananyena bhavena. Right? Ananyena means no other object of worship, right? Except Mayi, unto Krishna. So worshipping Krishna with an undeviated mind is the primary characteristic of a sadhu. Right? And bhakti, the devotion service, kurvanti, he performed. And how is his bhakti? His bhakti is dridam. Drida means firmness. He's staunch in his bhakti. Right? Staunch, very firm in his bhakti. Matkrite, and his bhakti is for the sake of Krishna. Right? And when he has a strong determination, tvaktva. Tvakta means he renounces karmana activities, swajana family relationships, bandhava friendly acquaintances. All these things he gives up. His focus is just on worship of Krishna. Right? So, right. So Prabhupada actually says that Tvakta, renouncing all these other things, refers to what? Sarva dharma paritrajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. That is a symptom of a pure devotee. He gives everything else not related to Krishna. And then mam ekam, he surrenders to Krishna. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes another verse, 9:465, where he says, Ye daraga purapta pranam vittam imam param. He says, since pure devotees, they give up their homes, wives, children, relatives, riches, and even their life simply to serve me, without any desire for material improvement in this life or the next. How can I give up such devotees? Devotees give up everything for my service. How can I give up such devotees? That's what Krishna is saying. Right? So Prabhupada basically makes a point that his energy, for such a person, his energy is employed in the service of the Lord with great austerity. Right? Because he seriously engages in devotional service. And then what are the other aspects? Because as soon as we take birth, we are indebted. To whom? As soon as we take birth, we had a debt. To whom? Devarshi.
Parents.
Yeah, okay, parents, right?
Parents.
Devarshi Bhutatma Nrinam Pritina. Right? So this verse is actually saying 11:541. Deva, as soon as we take birth, we are indebted to the demigods. As soon as we take birth, we are indebted to the rishis. They give us knowledge. As soon as we take birth, we are indebted to Bhuta, ordinary living entities. Apta, our friends and relatives. Nrinam, ordinary people. Pitrinam, forefathers. Right? So we have this debt to all these personalities. Right? And one may say, like this verse is saying, if someone worships Krishna, then he doesn't have to maintain those attachments, relationships, family relationships, and all those. He gives it up. But what about this debt? And this verse 11:541 is actually saying, Devashri Bhutatma Nrinam Pritinam Na Kinkaro Nayam Rinicharajan Sarvatma Ye Sarvatma Ya Sharanam Sharanyam Gata Mukundam Paririta Kartam. That when one takes shelter, that exclusive devotion of Krishna, then all the debts to all these personalities are actually fulfilled. The devotee does not have to separately fill in the debt to Pitras, to demigods, to all these personalities. Just by our commitment to Krishna, everything Krishna takes care of, everything. So that is the primary symptom of a devotee. Okay, and 23. What are the activities of such a devotee? So we heard secondary symptom, we heard primary symptom. Now let's see the activities of such a devotee. 23.
Mad ashraya kathamrishta shrinvanti katayanti cha tapanti vividhastapa naitan madgata chetasaha. Raj Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji. Once. So, text 23, right, Mataji?
Yes.
Engaged constantly in chanting and hearing about me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sadhus do not suffer from material miseries because they are always filled with thoughts of my pastimes and activities.
Hmm. So what is the activity of a sadhu? Mad ashraya kataha. Right? Mad ashraya means about me. Kataha means katha, like stories. Right? And mrishtaha, Prabhupada says delights. He delights in shamanti kathayanti, hearing and chanting about the stories of the or pastimes of the Supreme Personality of God. That is the main activity of a devotee, a sadhu. The sadhu is taking so much delightment. He hears Krishna Katha, he speaks Krishna Katha. Right? So that's so. And then by that, what is the symptom? Tapanti vividha. Tapanti vividha means so many kinds of miseries. How do they affect the sadhu? They do not afflict these sadhus. Why? Madgata chetasa. Because their mind is filled with Krishna, they are not affected by, not disturbed by the miseries of this material world. Right? So that is the activity of sadhu, that they're so immersed in the Krishna Katha that they are not affected by the miseries of this material world. Prabhupada actually goes ahead and makes a point. He says, since they are filled with Krishna consciousness, they are forgetful of material miseries. Forgetful of material misery. Like, just like this example, like if a child gets hurt, right? Just like, just trips over, falls on the floor, and he's like, oh, starts crying. And sometimes parents, what they do? They deviate the attention. They say, see, nice chocolate, or see, this, see something, you know. And they change the focus. And then the child will forget that, oh, I had this hurt, my knee got, a little pain or anything. And because the focus is, oh, I got this nice chocolate. You know. So similarly, taking that example, here Prabhupada is, and the verse is saying that when the mind is so much filled with Krishna, something happens, but it does not affect us. Right? How Bhakti Tirtha Swami was such a perfect example that we hear about. In his final days, so much pain that they say like they used to like just sit him up, his bones used to crack. He had blood cancer. So much pain. But with Ranath Maharaj, he used to relish Chaitanya Charitamrita so much that he forgot that he had all these pain. Totally forgot. And he said, I'm relishing this Chaitanya Charitamrita so much that I feel I don't want to change my position for anyone else in the whole world. Imagine how much pain, that level of pain. But he forgot because he was relishing. His mind was so filled with Krishna consciousness that they forget material. So this is the activity of a sadhu. Prabhupada makes a point that how, when we talk of tapanti vividha, so three kinds of miseries we know, adhyatmic, adhibautic, adhidaivic. Right? They all, actually, all these three miseries, they affect us. But where do the miseries actually affect us? Where are actually these miseries? They're all in the mind. In the mind. Like in the 11th canto, there's this verse, 11:23:42. Right? 2342. It says, नायम जनों में सुख दुख हेतु न देवात्मा ग्रह कर्म कालः मन पर कारणम आमनंति samsara chakram परिवर्तयेद्यत. That is basically the verse Avanti Brahmana is saying that these people are not the cause of my suffering. Neither the demigods, right? Neither the body, neither the planets, neither my past karma, neither time. All these are not the cause of my suffering. What is the real cause of my suffering? It is the mind alone that causes happiness and distress, and that causes the rotation of the samsara chakra. It is the mind alone. Now, if the mind is the cause of all the suffering, and now if the mind is filled with Krishna, then we forget all the suffering. Right? So this is amazing that this point that as we progress in our Krishna consciousness, as we become more and more absorbed with Krishna, then we forget material miseries. And hence we don't experience the pain of material suffering. Okay. Okay, so next 24, 25. So now we talked about three verses, the characteristic of a sadhu, activity of a sadhu. Now we said we have to develop attachment to the sadhu. Now, how do we associate with the sadhu? That is the next verse. 24. Everyone okay?
What is the shloka of the Avantiva Brahmana?
11, 23, 42. Right? That shloka is very nice. It's neither the demigods, neither the body, neither the planets. Right? We always say, oh, it is so and so. Sare Sati, Saturn has heavy influence. We blame all these things, right? And then we say like, oh, it's my past karma. But all that is coming, the influence coming in the mind. So your mind is filled with Krishna. That's it. We forget everything, all these miseries. This is high state, but as we progress, we can actually experience this. And maybe we have that experience that we are actually, let's say, absorbed in some kind of service. Like in the kitchen, you're cooking. And in that cooking, maybe somehow you just pick up a hot stove and a hot, pot, and you burn your hand a little bit. But because you're so absorbed, you're like, okay, okay, I have to do the next. Like you one way, like, you just, yeah, I burned my hand, but, we should do the needful, but we may be so absorbed that we don't even think about that part. This is the process. Okay, next was 20.
Sorry, Prabhu, it's 11, 22, 22 is the
20, 23, 42.
23, 42. Thank you.
Someone can type it in the chat. Okay, 24. How do we associate with sadhus?
Next 24. Ta ete sadhava sadhvi sarvasanga vivarjitaha sangasteshvatate prartyaha sangadosha harahite.
Hare Krishna. O my mother, O virtuous lady, these are the qualities of great devotees who are free from all attachment. You must seek attachment to such holy men, for this counteracts the pernicious effects of material attachment.
So here, basically, he's saying Sadhavi. Sadhavi referring to his mother, and he's calling, oh, virtuous lady, what should you do? Te ete sadhava. So these are the qualities of the sadhu, sarva sangha vivarjita. And these sadhus are vivarjita. They are free from all the sarva sangha, all the false attachment. They are free from all these attachments. So these are qualities of sadhus who are free from all attachment. Ataha, therefore, sangateshu prarthaye. Hence, you must seek the attachment of such sadhu. We have to seek that kind of association. When we hear, oh, this devotee is so nice, and I hear his classes and I'm so inspired, we have to seek his association. We have to make that effort to go and connect with that sadhu to get his association. Right? So hence you must seek that attachment to such holy men, because by that attachment, Sangha dosha harahi. Certainly your attachment, because such attachment certainly counteracts pernicious effects of material attachment. Right? So all the false attachments, Sangha dosha, that we have to this material world, all that will be actually cleared out by our seeking attachment of the sadhus. Therefore, seek attachment to the devotees of the Lord. Seek that attachment. Right? We have to search out Where are sadhus? Oh, sadhu is doing so and so katha here. Let me go get his association. Oh, in the temple, sadhu is so and so. Sadhu is giving class. Let me go get that association. We have to seek that association, and that association will be the cause of the previous source. What we read. Our mind will become filled with Krishna, and by fulfillment of Krishna, all our material miseries will be cleared out. Right? So the solution, the point is seek association of sadhus. Right? So Prabhupada in the purport, he quotes, his focus is on one verse from the Bhagavad Gita, 15.5, Nirmana Moha Jita Sangha Dosha, because this verse talks of Sangha Dosha. So Prabhupada elaborates that Sangha Dosha from 15.5, right? So he says, Sangha Dosha means you have to be freed from the puffed up condition of material possessiveness. So nicely Prabhupada is saying. You have to be freed from what? Puffed up. We have pride of our material possessions. So we have to be freed from the puffed up condition of material possessiveness and more. And this comes from the false conception of this body, right? So, and then Prabhupada also gives an example. It says the kitten and the rat. We've heard this so many times, right? A cat will carry a kitten in the between the mouth, right? In the mouth, and in the mouth, the cat has the sharp teeth. But the kitten is there, and the rat also the cat carries in the mouth. But what is the state of the rat? The rat is fearful that now my death is certain. But the kitten is so like, oh, my mother is carrying me. I don't need to care. I don't need to be in anxiety for anything. I am in the best position, the safest place. Right? The safest place. So similarly, Prabhupada is using this example to say that when we are associated, when we are in the association of devotees, it's just like the kitten in the mouth of a cat. If we are not in the association of devotees, we are just like the rat in the mouth of the cat. Any moment, anything can happen. So therefore, seek association with devotees. Okay. Now, 25, the most famous verse, and then we'll take a pause.
25. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti ritkarna rasayana kataha tajjoshanad ashvapavargavartmani shradharatir bhaktiranukrameshyati.
Translation Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. Hare Krishna.
The very, very important verse, right? We often quote this verse, Sataham prasanga mama virya samida bhavanti ratkarna rasayana katha tajjoshavad asva apavarga vartami shraddha rate bhaktir anukramishti. So what is this verse saying? Satam means devotees. Prasanga, that excellent association of devotees. Okay, we'll talk about this. Excellent association of devotees. Mama Virya Samhido. Mama Virya is Krishna saying my. Virya is his wonderful Samvidha. When we talk of the wonderful, there is discussion of the wonderful activities of Krishna. Then in that excellent association of devotees, when we are hearing Krishna Katha, when we are discussing Krishna Katha, then Bhavati, right? Bhavanti Ritkarna. So that Katha becomes what? Rasayana. Right? In Ayurveda, they use this word Rasayana. Right? Everyone has heard? Right? Rasayana. What is Rasayana there? Normally they say some kind of tonic. Some energy giving tonic. Oh, this is a rasayana. You take. You're weak, take this rasayana, you'll become strong. Rasayana. So here, rasayana means it will be it's like a tonic to our ear and to the heart. Rita Karna. Karna means ear and na our heart. This is the real tonic for our ear and our heart. This is something which will give a complete pleasure to the ear and to the heart. Right? Then what happens? By such cultivation, by this cultivation of the discussion of Harikatha in the excellent association of devotees, then by such asu, very quickly, what will happen? One is on the path of liberation, apavarga, right? So we know pavarga is a cause of bondage. Apavarga means the freedom from pa, fa, ba, ba, ma, right? All these five. Everyone remembers? Pa, fa, ba, ba, ma, right? So apavarga will be on the path of liberation, and then what will happen? First, your Shraddha will develop, and then it does not mention all the 9 stages, but it says Shraddha all the way to Ratir, all the way to Bhakti, Anukramishri will follow step by step. So what is it? Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhav, Prem. All that will actually develop just by this one activity. Seek association of devotees, and in that association, you hear Harikatha, you discuss Harikatha. And that will be the tonic for your ears and to the heart. And just by that, your door, your path of liberation opens, and you will start from Shraddha, go all the way to Prema. Right? All the way to Prema. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also explains how this happens. Right? He says, only in the association of devotees can the mind actually be attached to Krishna, right? That's what we are talking about, right? The previous verses. Our mind needs to be attached to Krishna. He says only in the association of devotees this can happen, right? So first, we desire, okay, I want to know, oh, this Hare Krishna people is there. Let me see what they are doing. Some curiosity, something, right? So we desire some kind of association. And then what happens? Faith develops. We come in the association of Hare Krishna devotee and say, they are really serious in what they do. They get up at 4 a.m., they chant their rounds, they don't break their regulative principles. They are pakka. They're pakka. Then we get, oh yeah, we felt, oh yes, they are really good. I need to see what they are saying. So with that Shraddha, then we actually start associating with them, right? So Shraddha, then Sadhu Sangha. We come in their association. We say, okay, let me see what they are saying. Let me associate with them. They are so pure. Like even like my first experience was I saw brahmacharis, in this temple. And I was like, wow, they look so bright and so happy. I want to become like them. Right? So that initial thing that, wow, they are so good, I want to become. Then what did that lead to? Then meeting them again and again, hearing what they have to say. Right? Then we hear, right? So that is bhajan kriya, sadhu sangha, and then they say, actually chant Hare Krishna at least one round every day. Then I started doing that. So what happened then? Bhajana kriya. We started doing that. Right? So bhajana kriya. Now the prasanga is that means excellent association. That means what? So here Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is making a difference. He says, if your association is of devotees who are really excellent, who have that deep attachment to Krishna, then there is next is anartha nivritti, right? Anartha nivritti. That anartha nivritti will happen anyway. Okay, next is anartha nivritti, but with that excellent association, what happens? The story becomes nectar for the ears. But if your association is not so excellent, all right, then you will be in bhajan kriya, but you will not relish that harikatha so much. Right? So we have to seek that excellent association in which we actually hear and we are like, wow, so good. We relish such harikatha. Seek that association. Right? If the association is not so good, then stories may not become so nectarian. That's the point Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and hence he says prasanga. Right? Then, when the stories become nectar, what becomes? Then after bhajan kriya, anartha nivritti, then nishtha. What happens at the stage of nishtha? The same stories, they become direct realization of Krishna's qualities. When we hear about Krishna, we're like, wow, Krishna is so compassionate. He is so merciful. We directly realize these points, and that is Nishtha. Right? And then from Nishtha comes Ruchi. This from that Nishtha comes Ruchi. Ruchi means we get a taste. This becomes an auxiliary to our heart and to our ear. We feel like, wow, this is real nectar. We get that Ruchi. And then from Ruchi, what comes? Ashakti, firm attachment. And then from that Bhav comes, when Bhav comes, it destroys our material existence. And then we get Prema. And all this Anukrimashiti means they follow in order, all through association of devotees. Right? So the key is what? Associate with devotee. Like Chaitanya Charitamrita 2283. This is a beautiful verse. What says? Krishna Bhakta Janma Mula. Krishna Bhakta Janma. The birth of Krishna Bhakta happens what? Hoy Sadhu Sangha. In the association of devotee. Krishna Preme Janma Teno Punah Mukhya Anga. Even for Krishna Prem, how will you get? Again Sadhu Sangha. The Sadhu Sangha will give you a start of your bhakti. Sadhu Sangha is the cause of their getting prema in bhakti. All of that is association. Hence, seek out association of devotees. Right? Such excellent devotees. Okay. And Prabhupada clearly said, without devotee association, one cannot make advancement. One cannot make advancement. And it's like, we have so many anarthas we are fighting with, and we have this pulling and that pulling. And we say, no, I'll do it. Okay, now I'm going to not do this again. And then we tend to do it again and again. Why? The way to get rid is to come in the association of devotees, serve devotees, hear from devotees. And by that, everything will get cleared up. Okay. So let's stop here and let's see any comments from this verse. Everyone's okay with this verse?
I just had one question. So with Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur saying if we associate with devotees who are highly advanced and will relish the Harikatha, I could see a danger of like somebody thinking like, oh, I'm not relishing the speaker so much, so maybe he's not so advanced. And I feel that we have to be careful of that kind of, because it's not necessarily because I'm not relishing it that person's not. Maybe it's my own, my own anarthas that are blocking me from relishing it. So I'm just wondering if you can elaborate on that.
That's a very good point. That's actually a very nice point. It's good you mentioned that, because in Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami, he does not say the symptom of a devotee as someone whose katha you can relish. He says, how do you identify the devotees? And first he gives the level of just like, someone who chants Hare Krishna. The first basic level. Then further he says what? There's someone who's initiated, who is actually worshipping the deities. Next level. Then further he says what? That who is really advanced, who has an attachment for Krishna, and he has no tendency to criticize anyone. So he talks of these levels. Or we see further in the 17th chapter of Nectar of Devotion, where Rupa Goswami talks of the symptoms of a devotee, and he says this is how you identify a devotee. What is that? Viraktir, right? Avyartha kalatam. That 9 symptoms are there, right? Nama gane sada ruchi, right? Asha bandha, right? Krishna tad vasati stale, right? So all those are symptoms. That means what? Detachment, right? How much is detached from this material world. Second, Viraktir, avyartha kalatvam. He does not want to waste even a single moment not engaged in devotional service. That's a symptom. So we can see that. How much is this person like engaged in service, or how much is like, more focused on material things, that we can see. Right? Then Nama Gane Sadaruchi. Always he just wants to speak about Krishna. Nam Gane, he wants to say, sing Kirtan or glorify. So these are symptoms by which we identify. So that's a good point, that we don't assign devotee that, oh, I don't relish his katha, hence he is not an advanced devotee. But so So I feel the point is that we can use Rupa Goswami's Nectar of Devotion points to find out who is that advanced devotee, associate with him, and in that association, if we give away our doubts and we keep associating with that person, just by the association, we will relish. Initially, what was not relishable will become relishable, right? Just like that nectar of instruction verse that it says what? Sat Krishna Nama Charitati Sukirtanam. That verse, right? No, the verse before that. What's the starting of that? That initially it tastes like bitter. For a jaundiced person, initially sugar tastes bitter. But just by tasting that sugar, it becomes nectar. So we have to follow that formula there. Okay, that's good. Yeah. You want to say something? Ratnalika.
Oh, no, thank you.
Okay, any other realizations in today's class? And
Prabhu, couple of days back we were reading in CC when the devotees of Bengal, they were going back to Bengal and they asked every year same question, how
yes.
to identify a devotee. So Mahaprabhu every year gives a different answer. But the last answer he gave was the person who makes everybody else chant Hare Krishna.
Just by seeing that person, you'll chant Hare Krishna. Right?
That's right.
First he
Maybe
says, Asat Sangeet Tyagi Vaishnavachar.
That's exactly the sequence that Rupa Goswami puts in the verses you quoted.
Right? First is one who gives up the association of non-devotees. Second is who chants Hare Krishna. And third is by seeing him, others will chant Hare Krishna. So we use those symptoms to see who is advanced. Right? And then we associate them. And in that association, once we know that they are advanced in the association, we'll relish Harikatha. It's just we have to keep hearing, keep hearing.
Also, I think Prabhu, I think in the purport of Prabhupada mentioned that this is for us instruction how to identify a Vaishnava, but at the same time, you see even a faulty interpretation to Srimad Bhagavatam could arise ecstatic symptoms in a pure, like Nitya like Srivas Thakur and Devananda Pandit's connection. That how even he was saying not properly, but still it could give Srivas Thakur a great deal of ecstasy. That is one type of association when the person who's speaking is not great, whereas the hearer is great. But other cases, how we identify a devotee and we get to.
Yeah. I mean, that is a case where the hearer is more advanced than the speaker. So even though the speaker may say, speaker may quote a verse and may not have so deep realization in the verse, but the hearer may hear that verse and immediately say, "Wow, what a verse!" and immediately have some, deep realization, and that is possible. Right? But yeah. But in general, the worst point is how do we actually get advanced, right? So it is from our perspective. So we have to seek that association and that satam prasangam mama virya samhita. That's a good point from other perspective. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Which I like it what Prabhupada is writing towards the end of this purport text 25, that association of devotees means association with the Lord. And I also like the point you said that at the stage of Nishtha, if we keep on hearing Krishna Katha, the stories, they will become direct realization.
Yes. Yeah. And Nishtha, that's what happens. Like stories become direct realization of the qualities of Krishna. Right? So we hear, let's say, Putana pastime, and then what do we get the realization? Oh, Krishna is so merciful. She came as a demon to kill Krishna, but see what Krishna did. And immediately we get that realization. It's like, oh, when we chant the name of Krishna, now we're thinking, how kind is Krishna? Who can understand? Who else is worth surrendering unto? Who is no, Dayalu? Who can be more merciful than Krishna, right? So those realizations come. Okay. Any other points? Anyone?
Like, how can we give up the association of Non-devotees, like when we sometimes we are like the family members and all those things.
Or do we give up their association? I mean, in general, the point is like once we are on the path of bhakti, and if people are, not favorable to bhakti, or, I mean, they pull us away from bhakti, then we have to give them our association, not take their association. In the sense that they have so many different interests. They'll have like, okay, let's go watch this movie, let's do this, let's do this. But we have to say like, I'm not interested. Like, we have to draw a line somewhere that that's not something that I do. And the other point is by that intimate association, what happens? Their desires gets transferred to our heart. But when we are with them, we should try to give. We are chanting Hare Krishna, somehow maybe try to inspire them, or at least like when we are cooking together, say, okay, we are going to cook nicely, clean, we're going to offer it to Krishna, have Krishna Prasad. At least that we can do. And maybe that they may agree to. But again, every situation is you have to see because some family obligations, you may have to do something sometime which may be just for keeping the relation. But again, when you're doing that, we have to, in our heart, always keep Krishna. Like, it's like we are going towards fire. So keep yourself well protected. And that means what? In our heart, though we may be doing something which may be, kind of a little unfavorable, but in our heart, we are like, Krishna, please save me. I am right here. I am in a very difficult situation. In my heart, Krishna, please save. So we intensify our inner emotions to Krishna. And those inner emotions, though externally we may be doing something, but that internal emotions will actually keep us Krishna conscious. So we have to be careful, and every situation, what is the most practical aspect to do is very circumstantial. Who's the relation, But beyond, like, in India, it's very common. It is like my sister-in-law's cousins, something's marriage is there. We have to go. It's like forget all those. Inner circle, okay. These are the close. I have to take care. Maybe one more circle, some relationship beyond that. That's it. If they're not devotees, that's it. I don't have to obey all my relationship. This month's maybe a birthday is there. I just wish, oh, happy birthday. How are you doing? That's it. Have to draw the lines. So, a few thoughts on that. But main thing is, if internally we are strong, externally no situation can disturb us. And so internally we have to strengthen our consciousness, our commitment, our attachment to Krishna. Then wherever we go, we will give our association. We will not take their association.
Guruji, Guru Raj recently said in the lecture that when you are in such an association, you can pray, how can I bring these souls to you, Krishna? Please help me.
Very nice point, right? So we pray for them, right? We can pray for them. That immediately changes the whole mood. We are praying for them. Okay. So what did we discuss today? We talked about how can our mind get liberated. We talked about this can be done only bhakti, which is actually equipped with knowledge and renunciation. Knowledge and renunciation themselves cannot give that purification of bhakti, right? Na yujyamana. They will not give us that perfection. Only bhakti will give us that perfection. And how to get bhakti? Associate with devotees. You associate with material people, you'll get bondage. You associate with devotees, you'll get liberation. And who is a devotee? Then we read. Secondary characteristics. What were the secondary characteristics? Titikshava, Karunika, Surida, Sarvadehinam, Ajata Shashtavashata, Sadhava, Sadhabhushan. And primary characteristic? Mai Ananya Bhavena. Unpointed devotional service. Right? So that's primary characteristic. And then what are the activities of a sadhu? Right? Mad Ashraya Kathamrishtaha. He's always delighting, right? This is just like that verse, Machita Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Paraspara, right? This is a symptom of devotee. Machita Madgata. Machita is man, his chitta is always absorbed in Krishna. He's bodhayanta, he's glorifying and discussing Krishna katha with everyone. So that is a symptom of activities of a sadhu. And then what is the effect of that? Because his mind is so filled with Krishna that he forgets material miseries. Forgets material miseries. Material miseries will come, body is there, pain is there, but he doesn't. Like imagine Srila Prabhupada on 1977 in November. He's on that bed, which we go in Vrindavan, we offer our respects to that bed, we worship that bed. On that bed, Prabhupada is, in the final moments of his life. And what is he doing? Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj is holding the recorder and Prabhupada is dictating a purport to Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, who can do that? The final moments of your life when all your functions internally are all messed up, which organ is working, not all working, everything is, almost gone, and you're discussing a purport, you're explaining a purport of Srimad. Who can do that? Right? That person whose mind is completely connected to Krishna. Then material miseries, they forget. Right? And then we talked about how to the importance of association with sadhus. And we have to seek that association, and in that association, what do you do? Satam prasanga mama virya samidha. That mama virya samidha. We discuss that Harikatha, right? And by that discussion of Harikatha, then Bhavanti Rat Karna, our heart and our ears will get that relishment, that toxic, not toxic, sorry. That tonic, I was going to say tonic, I said toxic. That tonic that will relish our heart and our ears, right? And in that we get Shraddha, then all the way to Ratir, all the way to Prema. This is the whole point. Right? And that too, this verse says what? Asu. Very quickly. So it's all our bhakti is all on the devotees. You associate with elevated devotees, you'll progress like this. You don't have strong association, you'll keep struggling with the same anarthas and your boat will be like up and down, up and down, all the time. Okay, everyone? So let's take a quick break, 5 minutes, we'll take a break, come back, and continue. Thank you.
I was just thinking that just how wonderful it is that the Lord is talking about devotees. How. So this is the first thing he actually is about to speak, and he's going to glorify his devotees who was perfected their lives by doing this devotion service. So it's always like how example is better than explanations, So telling about them is important. Even like for Bhagavad Gita, also when Krishna said the second chapter, all thing, and Arjuna said, what are the qualities? How do they act? How do they talk?
How do we recognize devotee?
Yeah, how do I recognize? So it's like I was thinking how always the presentation is always very much example oriented. Let that be Bhagavan speaking, Mahaprabhu speaking, or Prabhupada speaking. It's always very first you speak the example and say, like, do you want to be like them? So do this. Now, or
do you want to get your mind liberated? Then do all these.
Yeah, if you want all these things, then you have to do that. If you want to be recognized as once you have perfected, I will think about you while speaking to my mother.
Yes.
So the glories of devotees. That's why his Bhagavatam is glories of devotees, right?
Yeah. That's the whole point. Whole Bhagavatam is what? Prasang, Satam Prasangam Mama Virya Samhita. It's all about Mama Virya Samhita. That's what Bhagavatam. So when we discuss Bhagavatam, the association of elevated devotees, that's it. Our bhakti is progressing. Going back home, back to God, just by this discussion of Harikatha. Okay, let's take a quick break. Let's come back 5 minutes. Hare Rama, Hare
everyone together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. So let's continue. Text number 26.
Text 26. Bhaktya pumanjata viraga indriyad drishta shrutanman rachananuchintaya Shittasya yato grahane yoga yukto yatishyater jubhir yoga margai.
Thus, consciously engaged in devotional service in the association of devotees, a person gains distaste for sense gratification, both in this world and in the next, by constantly thinking about the activities of the Lord. This process of Krishna consciousness is the easiest process of mystic power. When one is actually situated on that path of devotional service, he is able to control the mind.
So Bhaktya Mam Jata Viraga Indriya. By this above process that I have explained, this devotional service process, what does a person develop? He develops Jita Viraga Indriya. He develops a distaste for sense gratification, Drishta and Shruta, in this world and in the next world. Or Vanya Vishwanath Thakur says, based on what he sees and what he hears, he develops a distaste. He's not interested in all this, right? Mat rachana anvita. But on the other hand, anuchintaya. What does he do? He develops a distaste for the material world, and mat rachana. He constantly thinks of the activities, anuchintaya, the activities of creation. How did the Lord create? How does the Lord maintain us? What is the Lord doing? Like all those activities, he meditates on that. And then chittasya yata grahan. In this way, one is able to control the mind. So, whole section is. So, what was Devavati's question initially? Devavati's question was, she said, I'm sick of this disturbance of the agitation of the senses, right? And the question is, please dispel my what? What is Devavati's question?
My illusion.
Illusion, my aham mameti that is there in my heart, please dispel it, right? And then to respond to that, Kapila Muni has said, well, this Adhyatma yoga will do it. The mind is the center, and the mind can actually be free by association with devotees. And that's how he's answered this question, right? So hence he's saying that in this way, one can actually control the mind. What way? By bhakti. And then he said, Rujubi yoga mare. Of all the process of yoga, this bhakti is the easiest process. Is bhakti yoga easy? Yes or no?
Yes and no.
And no. Why is that yes and no? How do you explain the yes and no? Bhakti is easiest. So here it says Rujubi, easy. Yoga Mage. Of all yoga process, bhakti is easy.
Bhakti is easy in a way because we don't have to go to the forest or mountains and do tapas and austerities, but being at home, you can simply patram pushpam palam tvayam, you can serve the Lord.
Yeah.
That way it's easy, but it's very hard because all the senses are so strong. Maya is so strong, it keeps pulling us down, and every day it's a struggle doing it.
Yeah. So compared to other yoga process, bhakti is the easiest. Right? Imagine Gyan Yoga. Someone says, okay, now you have to do Gyan Yoga. I mean, we don't even have that intellectual capacity to do Gyan Yoga. Someone says Dhyana Yoga. Go to the forest, meditate. I'm like, forget it. I'm not going to do. Arjun himself said, forget it. I cannot do this Dhyana Yoga. So other process we cannot even do in Kali Yoga. Of all the process, Bhakti Yoga is easy. The activity, chanting Hare Krishna. Prabhupada said you don't have to pay any money to chant Hare Krishna. You just sit at home, chant Hare Krishna. So easy. Right? But the difficult part comes that when we are progressing in bhakti, then all the anarthas, those obstacles come. And then something is like Chant Hare Krishna, think about Krishna. What is the problem? And Prabhupada made them in the lecture, he said, chant Hare Krishna, fix your mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. Like Prabhupada makes it so easy, right? But then all these anarthas, our previous attachment, they come, you know. But, and then when we struggle with them, we fall down, then we feel like, oh, this is like difficult. But again, the point is, if we are in the association of devotees, bhakti is easy. Right? If we are in the association of devotees, then it's like, you're in association of devotees, and it's like, okay, you're out somewhere in, let's say, New Vrindavan or someplace, and then everyone is getting up at 3 a.m. You're like, okay, 3 a.m., get up in the morning, chant Hare Krishna. Easy. But at home, such a big struggle. Right? Alarm will snooze, 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 so hard to do it. Right? Association of devotees, easy. Right? So bhakti is easy in sense of the activities of bhakti, how executing them are easy compared to other yoga processes. But the anarthas that we face, that make it difficult. And when we are constantly associated with devotees, then it becomes fun and easy. So that's the easy and difficult part. And then Prabhupada in the purport, he says, okay, he basically makes a point that Vedas, they talk about like sense gratification and promotion to Swargaloka. But what are devotees doing? They are always contemplating the activities of the Lord. They're always thinking, how did the Lord create? How is the Lord maintaining? How is the Lord taking care of me? So that way they are always contemplating, they are always thinking of the activities of the Lord. And hence Prabhupada says, this sublime situation where the devotee is no longer attracted, he gets a distaste for, this verse is saying what happens? You get a distaste, no taste, right? Distaste for the activities of this material world. Then how can you get that? Very easily attained by the easiest process of Bhakti Yoga, right? Therefore, everyone can take to Krishna consciousness and reach the highest perfection. Just today morning, I was hearing Prabhupada making this point. He said so nicely, he said, like, when we take up the path of bhakti, we are declaring a fight with Maya. And Prabhupada said, we have to be very strong in this fight with Maya. First of all, we have to realize that we are fighting with Maya, but you have to be very strong in this fight with Maya. So if you're strong, then bhakti is easy, right? Easy for the easy. But yes, okay. So is there a question?
Yes, Prabhu. I wanted to kind of, so if somebody is able to somehow control their mind, would we say that that is the ultimate goal in this, like at least for us sadhakas, right? The neophytes. Controlling the mind is the most difficult thing.
Yeah.
And if does it matter which path you choose to control that mind? Does it? Understandable that bhakti yoga, yes, it is more.
Yeah. So
like not maybe it's not for everybody.
Okay, let's discuss this. So what does it mean to control the mind? What does it
Being
mean?
equanimous, being not
So-
being disturbed.
Okay, so your definition is basically that controlling the mind means it is not pulled in so many directions. It is actually controlled. We see
Concentrated.
equal vision, right? So
Concentrated and always aware. Like, what are we doing? Always being aware of what we are doing.
Yeah.
So concentrated that you don't get diverted in, like, get pulled in various directions, like what you said.
Yeah.
That is my understanding of controlling of mind.
Controlling mind. Okay. Now we already made the point earlier that what is the symptom of the jiva? Jiva, our real position means we are conscious, right? Agree. Now conscious chitta, and that being conscious is also sometimes defined as mind. And chitta is sometimes referred to as a mind. So what does it mean? See, the mind is negative. We understand. It gets pulled to the material. It's pulled in, this direction, this lust, greed, all those things, right? Now, when we talk of controlling the mind, many times our state is, okay, it is going negative. We want to bring it to zero. where there is no longer, it is equanimous, there is no longer any disturbance from all these negative things, and we want to bring so negative to zero. But can the mind actually be in that zero state? That is the whole point that we are saying, that if you really understand controlling the mind, means the mind has to be fixed on something. Otherwise, it is going to be pull negative. It cannot be in zero state. That zero state is not possible because we are conscious jivas, and as conscious jivas, we have desire, and those desires will be projected through the mind, through the outside world. So that zero state is not a fixed state. Maybe temporarily someone attains that. And also the point of concentrated, then he's concentrated on some material activity. Right? He's focused on some material activity, and he says that is controlling the mind. But again, doing that material activity, there must be some intention behind that. Why is he doing that activity? So that my point is just that zero state is actually not controlling the mind, because it will always be pulled back. So controlling the mind means actually engaging the mind in the highest positive. And what is bhakti doing? Bhakti is attracting our mind, saying Krishna is all beautiful. Bhakti is just telling us, see, this is how beautiful Krishna is. How beautiful are the activities of Krishna. And when the mind is fixed on Krishna, then we say, yes, the mind is controlled. Otherwise, that neutral state is actually not controlled, because naturally is going to fall down to the negative. So controlling. Mhm.
So even to chant a good round,
Yes.
you have to have that concentrated mind. You have to be
Yes.
aware, and you have to have kind of, let's say, control of the mind to even chant in that in the very
Right.
true sense.
Right. But what are we doing when we are chanting? Yes, the mind goes here and there, but are we saying, okay, mind, don't think of this, don't think of this, don't think of this? Is that the only thing we are saying? Because as soon as we say don't think, it is just like, I like
You're
this.
thinking more.
Yeah, like Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's example, that you have one question, multiple choice, and you have unlimited answers, right? Let's say you have a exam, multiple choice question. They have a question, and you have so many choices. Now your point is not that you go one and say, not this, not this, not this, not this. They're unlimited. You'll keep doing not this, not this. You have to, even while chanting, controlling the mind means fixing it on the sound of the mantra. It has to be, there has to be something positive, and that's when we say the mind is controlled. It has to be fixed on something. Now, what is something? They're saying that something is Krishna, because everything else, it gets fixed, then it is Bahushaka. It'll get fixed here, then it'll get pulled, it'll get fixed here, it'll get pulled, it'll get fixed here, it gets pulled. It's not possible to actually really control them. Hence it says, Savai Manaha Krishna Padaravinda. Our mind is properly engaged when it is focused on the lotus feet of Krishna, or the holy name of the Lord. So that is real control of the mind. And hence this entire section is making the point that controlling the mind can only be achieved through bhakti, not through any other process.
Thank you, Prabhu.
It's okay, Varashi Mataji?
Yes, I mean, I think it has to get imbibed in the mind that is it. It's like there's no other option. Right?
Yeah, and then
yeah, it'll happen.
Yeah. And it is not like, like focusing on, someone may say, okay, I'm meditating. When I'm studying, I am really focused. That is my meditation. Someone may say that my mind is controlled, I'm focused. That may be okay, but how long are you in that? Okay, 1 hour, 2 hour, you're focused. And then what happens? Immediately the mind is pulled, right? So really the mind is controlled when it is fixed on Krishna. That's the only. So out of all those multiple choice, there is only one correct answer. Fix your mind on Krishna's lotus feet. Fix your mind on the holy name. Everything else is not really controlling the mind. Okay, and it is something you can think about.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, so Okay, let's go further. 27. We'll just do a few more verses. We want to see what are the questions, next set of questions that devotee asked, and then those answers we'll discuss next time. Okay. So we discuss this verse, right? So uh, basically here he's saying that in this way one can control the mind. What way? Bhakti. And bhakti is the easiest. And by that one develops a distaste for sense gratification. Because mind is constantly anuchintaya, is constantly contemplating the activities of the Lord. Okay. 27.
असेवयायां प्रकृतिर्गुणानां ज्ञानेन वैराग्यविजृम्भितेन योगेन मयार्पितया च भक्त्या मां प्रत्यगात्मानमिव इहावरुन्धे.
So, yes.
Translation. Thus, by not engaging in the service of the modes of material nature, but by developing Krishna consciousness, knowledge and renunciation, and by practicing yoga, in which the mind is always fixed in devotional service onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one achieves my association in this very life, for I am the Supreme Personality, Absolute Truth.
Right? So here is the result. We talked of like process of bhakti. You associate with devotees, you get that attachment to the devotees, you discuss Hari Katha with devotees. What is the result? One achieves my association in this very life. We don't have to even wait for the next life. Even this life, we can see Krishna face to face. That is how powerful this process of bhakti is. And imagine seeing Krishna face to face. Right? He's the most attractive. He's the enchanter of Cupid. You see Krishna face to face, that's it. How we go to Vrindavan and we always meditate on this one verse where Rupa Goswami says, if you want to maintain your material attachments, don't see Govinda, right? Who's standing on the banks of the Vamshivat and playing his flute. Don't see him. Because you see him, you'll forget everything else. Your mind will be so attracted to him, you'll forget everything. Right? So in this process of bhakti, this Kapila Muni, what he's saying in this very life, we can see Krishna face to face. So that's how Kapila Muni. So then further he elaborates, he's saying that thus asevaya prakriti guna. Seva, devotional service. Aseva, don't seva. Right? No seva. Right? So he's saying, thus by not engaging in service of the prakriti, three modes, then jnana vairagya vijrivam yogena mayi. Practicing bhakti yoga, again with knowledge and renunciation. Arpita bhaktya, his mind is actually arpita, is offered to the lotus feet of Krishna, then he actually attains Krishna in this very life. So Prabhupada says 9 processes of bhakti yoga. We could do one of them, 2 of them, 3 of them, or all of them. Who did all of them? Ambarish Maharaj. He did all of them, right? But you could do one. You can just do Shravana. You attain perfection. Who did that? Who attained perfection just by Shravana?
Parikshit Maharaj.
And who attained perfection just by Kirtana?
Sukadeva Goswami.
Sukadeva Goswami. Who did the perfection just by Smarana?
Prahlad Maharaj.
Prahlad Maharaj. Who did the perfection just by offering prayers? Vandana?
Akrura.
Akrura, right? So even one of them you can attain perfection, right? But 1, 2, 3, or you can do all of them, right? So, but point Prabhupada is making, unless one has good engagement in spiritual service, it is not possible to get out of the attachment of the material service. Right? So, our attachment to the 3 modes, you cannot give that unless we are always engaged in Krishna consciousness. So, we have to fill our life as much as possible with Hari Katha, Hari Kirtan, devotional service, planning. So, Prabhupada in one place he says, and in these purpose, he says, we have to think about, okay, how can I serve Krishna? We have to plan, okay, this is how I'm going to serve Krishna. This is how I'm going to distribute books. So many books, we have to plan and we have to execute. And that's how our mind will always be fixed on Krishna. Right? Organizing and executing services. Okay. Okay, so this is the end of this 27. Right. Okay, I'm just quickly going to read 28 and 29, 2 shlokas. Okay. Let's just do 28. So this is a conclusion of this section. Devotee asks the question, how can I get free from aham mameti? Answer is being given. And he's saying, Kapila Muni is saying, you will attain me in this lifetime. Imagine, actually, devotee already attained. Krishna is sitting right in front of her, right? But he's saying for all of us, that we can see Krishna face to face in this one lifetime. And what is the mukhya anga of this whole section?
Sadhus.
Sadhu Sangha. Seek association of sadhu. That is the whole essence of this session. Okay, 28. Let's see what's the next question devotee asked. Okay.
Prabhu, before moving on in the Bhagavad Sabodhani, it says that 26 and 27 are practice of jnana and yoga are not complete without bhakti.
Yeah, so I mean, this is this and the next section, next few verses. So Prabhupada makes it easy for us.
Okay.
You can understand it. You go to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur because Subodhini is it's a lot based on Chakravarti Pad's commentaries. So Chakravarti Pad, he is actually explaining that here in these, like 27, he talks of Bhakta Mrishya Yoga. And I spent a lot of time on this verse just to understand how that Bhakta Mishra Yoga is there. And next verse, 27, he said, sorry, Bhakti Mishra Yoga, right? Bhakti with yoga. 27 is Bhakti Mishra Jnana. Okay. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is making these 2 points because the next few chapters are what? Kapila Muni is going to talk about mystic yoga, dhyana yoga, right? Ashtanga yoga, and he's going to talk about jnana yoga, right? And why is he talking about these two? Because there are some aspects of jnana and mystic that will be actually useful for bhaktas also. We'll see that. And not only that, to prove that how bhakti is the highest compared to jnana and yoga. He's going to talk. Like how in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks of karma yoga, dhyana yoga, jnana yoga, but bhakti yoga is highest. So similarly here, also we are going to read those chapters. But here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is making the point that how this 2 verses are actually, Kapila Muni is giving a hint to Bhakti Mishra Jnana and Bhakti Mishra Yoga. And this forms a foundation for the next few chapters which are going to come.
Okay.
So, and then further also, if you really study Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, it is like, this is a section which gets like so complicated. Like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, some of the purports are like pages long for this section. And it gets to really like, if someone is giving like a very advanced seminar on bhakti and mind, they will refer to this section. Or he's giving a section on nectar of devotion, the later chapters of like 17, 18, 19, they will refer to this further section. And it talks about like how the mind is attracted and spontaneous attraction of the mind. And I'll mention a little bit in the further verses, but at least now you can say the last 2 verses, like, if you stick to Prabhupada's commentary, they'll be like, thank you, Prabhupada. Made it so straightforward, more simple. And we can see why Prabhupada made it so simple because, many times Prabhupada refers to Chakravarti Pad and he explains from that, but some verses where it is like very complicated, it's like most of us will not understand what is the point of confusing us. So he made it simple. So we can stick with the simple explanation, and then next class when we discuss the next section, I will bring in some points from Chakravarti Pad to actually elaborate. Okay. But I wanted to read the questions of devotee, so we'll be in the mood of, okay, what is the answer to these questions? And then next class, we'll read the answer. So this is, okay, let's do a translation for 28 and 29, 2 shlokas.
Vrindavan Vilasani.
On hearing this, text 28, on hearing this statement of the Lord, Devotee inquired, what kind of devotional service is worth developing and practicing to help me easily and immediately attain the service of your lotus feet? Hare Krishna.
So what is the question here? She said, Kvachit Radisha Tvai Uchita Bhakta. What kind of bhakti should I do which I can offer to you? Right? So that means bhakti is of different kinds. Right? Is bhakti of different kinds? Okay.
There's different,
Hmm?
different limbs of bhakti, like different ways you can do bhakti.
Yeah, I mean, one way of seeing it is someone can do sadhana bhakti, but also if you see Nectar of Devotion, it talks of different ways one can attain perfection. That we'll see in the next shloka. So that is one. Other way is also based on the performer of bhakti. A bhakta may be in mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. And based on that, his bhakti may be tainted with those modes. That we'll do in 29, chapter 29. That comes later. But that is also here, right? So what kind of bhakti I should do? The answer is basically bhakti, which is free from all gunas. That kind of bhakti, right? So, but the question is, what kind of bhakti, right? What is fit to be practiced? Mama gochara, right? And then padam te nirvana agyasa anvasnavi aham. What kind of bhakti is fit to be performed, to be offered to you, by which immediately I can attain your lotus feet? Isn't that a good question? Right? Immediately, I want to attain the lotus feet of Krishna. So, what kind of bhakti would be good for me? So, that's devotee's first question. And then, second, 29.
Hare Krishna. Translation 29. The mystic yoga system, as you have explained, aims at the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is meant for completely ending material existence. Please let me know the nature of that yoga system. How many ways are there by which one can understand in truth that sublime yoga? Hare Krishna.
Mhm. So, if you see Prabhupada, again, Prabhupada is like, makes it so, uh, he's so kind upon us that he makes it easy. So, Prabhupada uses this word in this purport, which is nirvana atmana. And he basically proves in the purport that this means devotee is asking about bhakti. Though, first word, what is it? Ya yoga bhagavad banaha. And yoga, Prabhupada translates as what? Mystic yoga. That mystic yoga process that aims at the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I want to know the nature of that. How many branches, angani, are there of that? So, Prabhupada in the purport says here, devotee is just asking about bhakti yoga itself. Right? That's what Prabhupada. But Vishwanath Thakur is actually making the point that here she's asking about yoga and also jnana, and asking what are the branches of mystic yoga and what are the branches of jnana yoga. And Kapila Muni will explain about jnana yoga, and then Astanga yoga, and then talk of bhakti yoga, right? So all that will be there. But you know, so if you see, Subodhini is following Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and hence in 29 it says like explain the gyan by which one understands tattva, and also 29 says explain the yoga aimed at the Lord for liberation. How many limbs that Astanga yoga has, right? Ashtanga, right? So what are the limbs? So that is devotee's question. So
Prabhu, what does mystic yoga mean?
mystic yoga means dhyana yoga. Dhyana yoga, like Astanga yoga, yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. That is mystic yoga. Why is it called mystic yoga? Because by doing that yoga, one gets access to mystic powers. Like mystic powers, like what? One can become smaller than the smallest. One can pass through a keyhole. The door is locked, you can go through the keyhole. You can become lighter than the lightest. Right? You can be like a feather floating. You can go into the river in the Himalayas, come out through uh, Prayagraj. No, it's called Prayagraj, right? Prayagraj. So you can come out from there. All those mystic siddhis can be attained by this practicing of this yoga. Right? One can levitate easily and just be off the ground.
That is not the dhyana yoga or jnana yoga or
So,
bhakti yoga. It's different yoga by itself.
so dhyana yoga, astanga yoga, mystic yoga, we are all talking of the same thing. Dhyana yoga, Astanga yoga, mystic yoga is all that Ashtanga, right? They are all the same. On the other hand, other aspect is Jnana yoga. Gyan, knowledge, Jnana yoga.
Yeah.
And the third thing is Bhakti yoga. So only three we are going to focus.
Hmm.
Mystic yoga, which is Astanga yoga, which is Dhyana yoga. Different names, same thing. Second, Jnana yoga. Right?
Hmm.
Jnana yoga. And third is Bhakti yoga. So these three are what.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Prabhu.
So Prabhupada in the purport, you can see he talks of Jnana Yoga, Hatha. Okay, Hatha Yoga is another name for the same thing, right? For Astanga Yoga or Dhyana Yoga. Hatha Yoga and then Bhakti Yoga. He talks of these three. So this is what we need to focus on. Okay, so that was a nice, beautiful section, but we don't like. There's something else like this word Banayaha. If you see the Sanskrit word said Bhagavad Banaha. Ban means what? Arrow.
Yeah.
Right? And those are second initiated, the last Kam Gayatri. Right? We spray what? Banaya. Right? Same like here. Banaha. Here says Bana, we pray Banaya. That's the arrows of Krishna. Right? And maybe I'll quickly just end with this. That Krishna has 5 arrows to attract us. And those who do the Gayatri, the last and the Kam Gayatri is actually we are praying that these 5 arrows come. They actually attract us to them. So what are the 5 arrows of Krishna? 1, his beautiful form. Second, his body fragrance. Third is the sound that emanates from Krishna. Fourth is the touch of Krishna's body. And fifth is the taste of Krishna's prasadam. Or taste of Krishna. And it goes detailed where it's like it talks about Krishna's lips and it's very deep. But these 5 are the arrows by which Krishna can attract us. Right? So the Bhagavad Banaha, aiming at the Lord. So when we chant those mantras, we are actually aiming that Krishna, please attract me. Please conquer me by those arrows. Conquer me by your beautiful form. Conquer me by your fragrance. Conquer me by the sound that emanates from you. Conquer me by your touch. And conquer me by your taste. The taste of Krishna Prasad. We want to be overwhelmed with that. Right? So that's what we are praying for. Okay. Okay, so we'll stop here. Any final points, comments? Everyone okay? Appreciate this section, or is it too much? Or
So wonderful, especially about devotee association and how that you feel so safe when you're with devotees like a kitten. That's the essence of everything. From the beginning to the end, it's the association of devotees. It's really, really nice.
Safest place in this world is where? In the association of devotees. That's it. That's it. We are there. Even if we are falling, they will pull us. They say, Prabhu, chant Hare Krishna, focus. They will bring us.
I think that the greatest fear, I think, for a devotee is to lose that association. More than any other fear, I think that's that fear of losing association. I think that's the greatest, because anything else you can handle if you have devotees, right?
Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda, what is the greatest kind of pain? And he said, I do not know any other pain other than the pain of missing the association of devotees. So that's the whole point. Very nice, thank you. Anything else?
So, Prabhu, what is the meaning? What does it mean here by saying sublime yoga?
What does it mean by?
Here it says that sublime yoga, right? What does sublime means in this case?
That again goes to the same point. Like Prabhupada explains in terms of bhakti as a sublime. Like he says, bhakti has the sublime result that it gives us to get darshan of the Lord. But again, that sublime is actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that refers to the mystic yoga process.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you.
So when the question is how many ways are there? So here, one way you can say how many ways are there of bhakti yoga? Prabhupada in the purport, he says 9 ways of bhakti yoga. He makes it simple. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Dasyam. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually explains that how many ways of yoga is there? Basically, she's asking, I want to know more about the angas of the Ashta Anga Bhakti.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay.
Prabhu, I was thinking on this verse of 20, like when the verse says, learned may very well attachment to the material great. Material is the greatest entanglement for the spirit soul, but the same attachment, when applied to a self-realized devotee, opens the door for liberation. I was thinking how Srila Prabhupada mentions that I have the access to the back door key. I have the access to the back door of Golok. Just hold on to me. I will take you. So this is so appropriate to that statement.
I mean, don't we sing Krishna se tumhara, Krishna dite paro, tumhara shakti aache. You have Krishna. Krishna is with you. Krishna di paro. You can give Krishna to me. And what is my situation? Amitu Kangala. I do not have Krishna. Dhahi tava pache pache. I'm running behind you, calling out, please give me Krishna. Please give me Krishna. That is the mood of our prayer. The bhajan is so beautiful. Oh Vaishnava Thakur. Amitu Kangala. Krishna, Krishna boli dhai tava pache pache. I'm running behind you, seeking that association of devotees. Please, only in that association I can get bhakti. Only in that association I can get Krishna. So our only hope is association of devotees. Right? So, I mean, like we we tend to take things for granted unless we start missing it.
Yes.
So better, like we from this entire section, we appreciate what we are getting. Every program we are coming associated with devotees, so special, so special. We develop that appreciation. Right? And then every time there's some program, Bhakti Vrish or Sunday Feast, we'll actually look forward. Wow, I get to be in association with this. This is the best thing. There is nothing else other than this. I need to be in association. That appreciation. And when we have that appreciation, then we'll also, when they are in the association, we will actually appreciate all the Vaishnavas. And that protects us from committing Vaishnava. Okay.
So I'm sure all the devotees in Bangladesh are really very much feeling this association of devotees.
Very sad, yeah. So, okay. Thank you so much, Savalendya. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthashram Bhagavatam ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Thank you all so much for your association. You're giving like the most precious thing, your association. So very grateful for that. Hare
Thank you for yours, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, since we have already closed the unit, can you give us an idea of when could be the next closed book? Like 20 to 24 is over, right?
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. I'll see I'll plan it out. Now I'm back from India. I can think about it.
Okay.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.